The late 1900s saw a revival of the classical theory and an enhanced interest in using deterrence as a policy instrument to control crime. The deterrence theory was based on the principles of the classical theory of crime. In this chapter, we have examined the fundamentals of deterrence theory, including the concept of specific and general deterrence, as well as Stafford and War's reconceptualization of deterrence theory. Now we shall study Cornish and Clarke's version of rational choice theory. Rational choice theory is based on the assumption that offenders are rational people who seek to maximize their pleasures and minimize their pains. The theory is based on the principles of classical theory and the postulates of Cesare Beccaria. The theory states that offenders take rational decisions after calculating where their self-interest lies. They make a cost-benefit analysis before committing a criminal act. Derek Cornish and Ronald Clarke, who are the leading proponents of the rational choice theory of crime, however, cautions that they do not assume that people are perfectly rational, which would mean that they carefully calculate the cost and benefits of potential crime. Rather, they assume that their rational decisions are constrained by limits of time, information, and ability to process the information. They therefore stated that most decisions were taken in limited or bounded rationality. They also assert that the costs of crime are calculated by taking into account both the formal and informal sanctions. The formal sanctions would involve actions by the criminal justice system, such as detection and arrest of the accused, and the informal sanctions would include disapproval of parents, peers, and significant others. Rational choice theory distinguishes between criminal involvement and criminal events. Criminal involvement deals with the decisions to become involved in crime. Many theories explain crime involvement, such as differential association theory or strain theory. There are few theories that focus on criminal events. Criminal events deal with the decision to commit specific criminal acts. It explains factors that influence the decision to commit a specific crime. These factors would include the circumstances of the situation and thinking of the offender. This approach has greatly supplemented the understanding of the occurrence of crime. Rational choice theory adopts a crime-specific focus. This would mean that the theory focuses on different individual types of crimes, such as burglaries, violent crimes, or drug crimes, rather than examining crimes as a composite whole. Crime-specific focus helps in understanding reasons on why an offender chooses to be involved in a particular type of crime and the decisions he takes before committing a criminal act. It has also helped in developing various crime prevention methods. Rational choice theory assumes that offenders take rational decisions based on analysis of costs and benefits. In the initial stage, individuals decide whether they are willing to become involved in crime to satisfy their needs. Individuals have a wide range of options for satisfying their needs, some criminal, some not. Whether a person engages in crime is influenced by their personal background, previous experience and learning, and needs. These factors are congruent with leading crime theories and have been addressed in many of the theories. The process has been modeled as the initial involvement model by Cornish and Clarke. The decision to be involved in a crime is usually multi-stage, extended over a period of time, draws on large amount of information, some of which are not directly related to the criminal act. Event decisions on the other hand, are more often shorter processes using limited information related to the immediate circumstances and situations. First, we shall examine the initial involvement model in detail. A diagrammatic representation of the model is presented on the slide. The model explains how a person decides to get involved in committing burglaries in a middle-class suburb. The route to getting involved in crime is through two separate sets of factors. Both these routes are influenced by the background of the individual. The background factors such as psychological profile of temperament, intelligence and cognitive styles, individual upbringing of whether from a broken home or parents are criminal or not, and the social and demographic factors such as gender, class, education and neighborhood have been analyzed in depth in many criminological theories. The rational choice theory incorporates these factors and takes it as a starting point. Takes a person to box number 6, which determines the reaction to a chance event of an opportunity to commit a crime. This reaction is impacted by the background shown in box 1, previous experience and learning of the person shown in box 2, and the individual's evaluation of the situation as to the efforts and cost involved and benefits accrued. When we examine box 2, which is the experience and learning of the individual in detail, we see that it entails the direct and vicarious experience of the person with crime. This would mean whether he has been exposed to criminal activities, sees it in his neighborhood, has been involved with it at a minor level, and has normalized crime as a part of his life. The person's individual experience would mold his conscience and moral attitudes and self-perception, which would predispose him towards criminal acts. If the individual has previous experience, the person's reaction to chance events shown in box 6 would be to respond to the easy opportunity by committing a crime. The response is influenced by the facts that the individual's estimate of cost of the formal and informal sanction would be low due to his previous experience and learning about crime. The second route determines a person's readiness to commit the crime. This is determined by the generalized needs of the individual, such as the requirement for money, friendships, sex, status or excitements. These requirements or needs lead him towards a solution or proactive action to fulfill the needs. The needs would be fulfilled by perceived solutions shown in box 5, such as legitimate work and earning an honest living, or illegitimate work such as committing burglary in the suburbs. Perceived solution is also impacted by the previous experience in learning and the cost benefit analysis of the solutions shown in box 2 and 4. Evaluation would be the degree of efforts such as physical requirements, mental alertness, and the technical skills required. How much the person could benefit from the crime, such as the amount of wealth he could make and how fast he could make it. The person would also evaluate the likelihood of getting punished and how severe the punishment would be. Along with the formal sanctions, the person would also take into account the informal sanctions of disapproval of peers, parents, and society. On the basis of the generalized needs and solutions available, an evaluation of the solutions, an individual would decide to either pursue legitimate means of obtaining his needs or illegitimate needs to obtain the needs. If a person decides to pursue illegitimate methods and solutions, it will make him ready to commit the crime as shown in box 7. Readiness to commit a crime shown in box 7 and the reaction to a chance event of an easy opportunity available to commit a crime shown in box 6 would together influence the decision to commit the burglary. The initial involvement model of the rational choice theory is an advancement in explanation of crime as it brings together psychological factors, sociological factors, rational decision making, macro level factors such as the social and demographic factors, and the needs of the individual, and micro level factors such as immediate situational factors such as easy opportunity and immediate need of money, etc. It is not only a theoretical explanation but also provides grounds for policy response to crime. Once a person decides to commit a crime, she will also decide the type of crime and target of crime. This is determined by the situation of the individual. The individual selects the types of crime and targets of the offense on the basis of a rational cost and benefit analysis. The information processing and decision making will vary across crime types. The decision of selection of target varies from crime to crime. There is therefore a need for a crime-specific model to understand how a person has chosen the type of crime and a particular target of the offense. Crime-specific models are required because different crimes call for different skills and challenges. For example, burglary would require physical capacity and stealth. On the other hand, drug dealing would require an ability to coordinate with others and business acumen. Different crimes have varying situational contexts, which would require unique information and call for diverse decision-making process. The sequence of decision making is modeled in models called criminal event model. A model is provided in slide 11 which indicates a sequence of decisions that leads to a burglar selecting a particular house for burglary. The model focuses on micro-level factors compared to the initial involvement model. It reflects the influence of situational factors related to opportunity, efforts, and proximal risks. Moreover, the time span involved is short and the decision sequence takes place quickly. This slide provides the criminal event model associated with residential burglaries in the suburban areas. At the very beginning, on the basis of the initial involvement model, a person decides to commit crimes of burglary. We have already examined the factors that go into this decision and how the individual chooses to pursue the crime of house burglary. The second decision point to be taken is the area where he can commit this particular crime. Usually the areas selected are locations that are easily accessible to the offender, such as where there are access roads available for him to enter into the locality and exit without much problem. The burglar would also prefer that there is low police presence in the area, which will reduce the chances of him running into a police patrol. The levels of security for housing is low, such as having no CCTV coverage, or is not a gated community where people entering and exiting are under surveillance or observed by human guards. The layout of the house, such as large open areas around the house, helps in stealthy operations without being noticed by neighbors or residents of the house. Obviously, a potential burglar would not like to commit burglary in a location distant from his own location with which he is unfamiliar with, or areas where there is neighborhood watch and security systems to secure the residential premises, and there is no easy transport system to reach and approach the target. Once he reaches the area, the selection of the home would depend on that there is no one present at the home, and houses which are distant from neighbors would be more preferred, as the activities of the burglar would not be detected by neighbors. Trees and bushes around the house would provide sufficient cover for him to hide and conduct his operations in stealth. On the other hand, noisy neighborhoods where people are available during the day and awake during the night would be avoided. Houses with security systems such as CCTV or burglar alarms, houses with restricted entries such as only a front entry and visible from the street, or houses with dogs present would be avoided by a burglar. The two initial involvement and event models provide a complete framework of how a person becomes involved in crime and carries out the criminal act. To this extent, rational choice theory is a comprehensive theory which focuses on explaining crime rather than the offender. To sum up, following are some of the important characteristics of the rational choice theory. Rational choice theory distinguishes between criminal involvement and criminal events and uses both concepts to explain the occurrence of crime. Rational choice theory focuses on criminal events, including the circumstances and situations in which crime is committed, factors that offenders consider before committing a crime, and try to explain the particularities of specific crimes. The theory explains that the criminal involvement decision is a multi-stage decision which occurs over a long period of time and may not be directly related to the individual's crimes committed. On the other hand, criminal event decisions are shorter processes and uses information related to the circumstances and situations of the crime. Choice theory, therefore, advances understanding of criminal behavior. It has the advantage of understanding all forms of crimes and bringing them within its framework, psychological, social, and situational factors. Critics of this theory, however, point out that offenders often commit crimes with little planning or consideration, for example, under the influence of alcohol and drugs or under extreme stress and rage. However, rational choice theorists argue that they use a very broad definition of rationality, and even crimes that are impulsive have some consideration of cost and benefit. In conclusion, it can be stated that rational choice theory has got great policy understanding of criminal behavior provided by it can be used in crime prevention by reducing the benefits and increasing the cost of crime.